Welcome everyone. As promised, we're going to continue the videos with the vampire decks that came out in the version 5 for Vampire the Eternal Struggle. And today we are looking at Ventrue. So 5 decks in the box. Last week we looked at the Tremere, and this week, as I said, the Ventrue. Ventrue are known as a voting clan, or very high in regards to political power, let's just say. Usually see themselves as the ruling caste of everyone else, and I believe the deck actually displays that quite well. So let's just go through it. I'll just take the vampires out. Now, one of the vampires, especially for Australia, it's so good. We've got Alexa Draper. I'm not sure if that's really coming through that well. She's actually Prince of Melbourne. Now, this deck is going to have quite a few votes due to the political stance that they take. So, well, that's where their strengths lie, especially within the Camarilla. So, Alexa Draper, very good. Prince of Melbourne. During the political step of any referendum, she can discard a card requiring Dominate to get +1 vote. So, straight off the bat, with a deck that's got votes, and she can actually throw out a card to get an extra vote. So not only does she have 2 votes herself, plus the card that she plays being 3 votes, she can throw out another Dominate card for an extra +1 vote, being 4 votes. If you've got the Edge, could be 5 votes, all by herself. So that's pretty good. So you've got Alice Chen, Camarilla, Prince of Nairobi. Okay. What other princes have we got? Standard. We've also got 2 of Camarilla Prince of Mannheim. Okay, we've got 2 of those. Normal. And we've got Camarilla Prince of Rotterdam, Sybren van Oosten. So I've just taken out the vampires that have voting power, and these are all princes, so they're all 2 votes each. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of your 12 vampires being voters. So very good. Now, this deck does have, from what I've seen, the main abilities that it's going with is, of course, there's Dominate, which assists with the bleeds, which you'll see in the cards that we're going to go through. Fortitude, which is the ability to withstand damage or heal damage or do maybe some extra actions, and presence. So that presence is going to be used at the time of votes to do other things, maybe gain a few more votes or get the benefits from the votes in regards to maybe more political power or just more power at the table. We'll see that as we go. Okay. So let me just go through the cards that are in the deck. So we've got Anarch Troublemaker. It's only a one-off. It pretty much is just a bit of trouble. I'll just quickly read it. During your unlock phase, you can give control of the Anarch Troublemaker to your prey and either lock up to 2 vampires they control or burn an equipment on one of their minions. So this is fantastic. Do understand that once you play it, it goes to the next person. So you really only want to be giving this when you're at a stage where you're going to oust your prey and hopefully get onto your grand prey. Grand prey. Could be your grand predator if it goes around the table. Right, Ancilla Empowerment. Each Methuselah burns 1 pull for each minion they control. That's a vote. Now, we're going to get into the presence, which is what I talked about. With Bewitching Oration, they've got 4 of this card. That allows them to get either +2 votes at minor or +4 votes at major, the advanced discipline, sorry. We've got 3 Blood Dolls. Now, we do understand that from the other decks, if they're playing Vessels, that these get burnt, but these don't cost you any pull. So, you know they're going to get burned eventually, but you just keep playing them and getting all the benefits from them. This also does go into one of the other main aspects of the deck, and that's being able to bloat and get more resources to do more things with, so more blood. Okay, So conditioning, we've got 4 conditionings, which is the huge pump to bleeding. I believe it's +3 and +4. No, +2 bleed at minor and +3 bleed at advanced. Okay. Daring the Dawn, pretty good one. Vampires cannot block this action. This vampire takes 2 unpreventable environmental aggravated damage after the action resolution. So if you're going through for a nice big bleed, or you need to get a vote cast onto the table and not blocked, fantastic. Do it with one of the younger vampires, of which there were plenty. Just needs to have fortitude. So let me just go through that. Now you've got 5 caps. And when I talk about caps, it's what number is down the bottom left of them. Okay. So Horst von Brühl is a 6, and I'm not sure the camera's really picking that type of thing up. Yeah, it was just then. But you've got level 5s with fortitude, level 6 with fortitude. You've got your 5 cap with advanced fortitude, very good. 4 cap with fortitude, and even a 3 cap, and all he has is advanced fortitude. So let's see what the advanced ability on that card was, because if you're using this Brock Sterling, it just looks like a brick in a suit. Take a look at him. Yeah. All right, if you use the advance for Daring the Dawn, as above, but this vampire takes 1 unpreventable environmental aggravated damage. All right, instead of the 2. So not too bad. If you need something to go through, then you'll do it with him. One big aspect of the deck is not taking bleeds yourself, so there's quite a few deflections in there. I count about 6 in my hand right at the moment. So when someone comes to bleed you, you bounce it onto someone else, and now they're being bled. Hopefully it's your prey, so they bounce from you to your prey, and they're bleeding them, making your job easier to oust them. Okay. Another big one for the deck, and this is what I was talking about with the bloating, is Enchant Kindred. Okay, may have seen this before. You either bleed at +1, but you'd be rarely using that. You'd be looking for the advanced side, where it's +1 stealth action, add 2 blood to a younger vampire in your uncontrolled region. Really assists to get the blood on there to get more vampires out, or with the strategy of getting blood onto them down here. You might not want to get them out, but you might want to transfer the pool or the blood over to your pool. During your transfer phases, you can take 2 blood off with the 4 transfers that you have at the end of the game. So there's various different strategies that you can do. Now, Freak Drive. You've got quite a few of these, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, based on the Fortitude skill, which is the preventing damage one, or doing some extra actions, which what this is, only usable after action resolution. If the action was successful, unlock this vampire. Now, it does cost 1 blood for them to do this, and at advance you can do it even if the action was blocked. Okay, so now being that there's 6 of those cards, it's a major aspect of the deck. It really allows you to do something like bleed, untap, vote, untap, maybe go for a piece of equipment, untap, maybe go for another vote, untap. Yeah, as long as you've got the blood there, yeah, you can keep going as long as you've got the Freak Drives and the blood to do that. Okay, now Hidden Strength. Here we go. 4 hidden strengths. Once again, fortitude. Okay, so you can start seeing fortitude is a big part of this deck. This allows you to prevent X +1 damage, and as above with an optional press, usually done to end combat. Yeah, you don't want to be going too many rounds of combat, or any rounds of combat with this deck, and you're going to see a card that comes up a little bit later. Now, unique location +2 transfers either helps get your vampires out a little bit quicker, or when you're doing the Enchant Kindred and you're putting 2 blood down, now you've got an extra 2 transfers, and you spend 2 transfers to move 1 blood off. Now I can potentially be moving 3 blood off one of the vampires in my uncontrolled region, ones that have not come out yet, over to my pool to use for other things, maybe better things. So yeah, Intimidation, bleed at +1 bleed, and advance is bleed at +2 bleed. So there's 4 of those cards. So now you see the presence ability starting to come out with the bleeds. And then we have votes. All right, so the major vote in this deck is Kine Resources Contested. A very simple vote. All the votes are the same in that regards, but this one is pretty well known. Allocate 4 points among 2 or more Methuselah. So you are all the Methuselah around the table. Successful referendum means each Methuselah burns 1 pool for each point allocated. So normally you would go for the vote. People might attempt to stop it. You might come to an agreement. Hey, if you don't stop this, I'll make sure that your prey takes 1 of those pool and I won't do any to you. Or I will only do 1 to you, but I'll do 2 to that person. Yeah. So Ventrue are really good in this respect at controlling the table, keeping things balanced, and if they can convince the other Methuselah around the table to help vote with them, they can really determine how the interactions go around the table and who jumps on their side. Very good to have the Ventrue on your side, but the Ventrue also need assistance as well, yeah? All right. Majesty. Whew, there's a few Majesties. Majesty, well known. There's 6 cards of this. First strike, combat ends. Stop putting your cards on the table. You know what you played, doesn't matter. Combat ends. Now, there are celerity decks that can play cards such as Psych, or there may be other cards that may start a new combat, but this is a fantastic card for the cost of 1 blood. You can strike, combat ends, and at the advance you can unlock this vampire at the end of the action. Even at basic, you're paying 1 blood to do this, especially against if you come against combat decks that want to keep going or doing extra damage, extra strikes, or press for an additional round. Fantastic card, yeah? All right. Cannot be played if they play an Immortal Grapple, though. You can only do hand strikes. So the worst thing for this deck for the Ventrue is getting stuck with a combat deck that Immortal Grapples it. However, we do have the fortitude to be preventing damage. So that's what you got to remember. I didn't think much of this card, but you know what? I played it in the game. Misdirection, tap, lock any minion, especially when they've got 1 minion untapped waiting for you to come across, usually means that they might be struggling with cards in their hand to untap to block you. So blocking, tapping that minion or locking that minion can really have a major influence on a particular turn, and it could be the turn that you oust them as well. So fantastic card, 1 of in the deck though. You wouldn't really want too many more, and it does cost you an influence to do it. So be careful with it. Use it when it's going to be efficient. If it gets locked in your hand and you've got other master cards to play, then you might have to discard it. If it's the only card in your hand, you really need to make the decision on where your state is on the gameplay before you spend that resource to tap a minion. And that can be any minion, yeah? So you could have an agreement around the table, and this is where the politics comes into it, and this is why we love Vites or Vampire, the Eternal Struggle. I can do a deal with someone across the table that if I tap that minion, you will go forward, yeah? So stuff like that. Or, you know what, if I tap that minion over there, I won't bleed you next turn if you go forward and I'm assisting you to do that. Can we have that agreement, yeah? So, and you don't want to break agreements in Vites because no one will ever believe you again. So, yeah, just great use for a misdirection. Yeah. All right, Parity Shift. So there's 5 of those votes. So another one with this. And interesting to note that the one game mat made for Vampire is actually this card, Parity Shift. So imagine that on a game mat. I'm getting another one in for the store. The last one sold, so yeah. Right, requires a prince or Justica, so your deck's full of princes. Choose a Methuselah who has more pool than you do and allocate 3 of their pool between 1 or more other Methuselahs. You can have it for yourself. So if you've got the vote locked on the table and no one can vote above you, you can have all 3 to you. Successful referendum means each chosen Methuselah loses that pool and is allocated as you choose. So fantastic. There's 5 of them in there. Second tradition now. One thing that you're going to have a problem with is intercepting. Second tradition allows a tapped vampire to untap and block with +2 intercept, even if you do not need it. But it is, you need to be a prince to play that with what the deck is, or a Justica, but we don't have any of the Justicas. They can burn 1 pool and unlock and attempt to block with +2 intercept, even if it's not needed. Usually in this game, you cannot go the intercept, +1 intercept, +2 intercept, unless they've played stealth. Okay, so there's no moving cards out of your hand unless you need it. In saying that, whenever you do play a card, you replace it straight away, which is the fantastic other aspect about this game, that it's consistently moving and you have to be vigilant in regards to moving that deck. If you've got nothing to play that turn, it's very wise to throw a card at the end. Even if you think you need it, you could be holding on to that card for 3, 4, 5 turns without it being played because nothing's happening on the table. Instead of that, you should have thrown out that card, seen what the next one is, and consistently been doing that, because you might come across stuff that you can actually do and use and help you win the game. Uptown Hunting Ground, nothing more needs to be said. Getting blood onto your vampires at the start of a turn. Ventrue Headquarters, you lock this. Yep, lock it for +3 votes. So if you've got that on the table and you've got Prince of Melbourne, where are you? Alexa Draper on the table. So she's got 2 votes herself, plus the vote card. She can tap that, another +3. She's already at 6 votes. She throws out a dominate card for 7 votes. You can see where this is going and why she's at the front of the deck. Very important vampire. Visit from the Capuchin. That's what that card looks like. Put this card into play with 4 counters. You get +1 hand size. So the ability to get more votes and more maybe Bewitching Orations, which were those plus votes, into your hand. Voter Captivation. This vampire gains 1 blood for each vote by which the referendum passed by. So this is only after the resolution of a political action. Now the advanced, as above, but move up to 2 of these blood to your pool instead of this vampire. So a great way to get blood back into your pool and not just on the vampire. So with the example of Alexa Draper with the voting location out, what do we have her? Up to 7 votes at that point. She plays maybe a Bewitching Oration for +3 votes, bringing her to 10. Other people vote against her. Maybe they've got 6 votes between them. Against the vote, she's got 10. She plays Voter Captivation right at the end of it, costing her nothing. She actually gains 4 pool, or 4 blood, 2 of which can go to your pool and she will get 2 blood, yeah? Great ability. Wake with Evening's Freshness, there's 4 of them, so if someone's doing something that you don't like and you need to block them and they haven't got any stealth, or you want to force them to play the stealth before you bounce the bleed, maybe Wake with Evening's Freshness is what you're wanting to play. Then again, you might just wait to bounce it instead of trying to block it, yeah? All right. And then we've got Wider View. Put this card into play. You may use 1 transfer to draw 1 card from your Crypt and then remove a Crypt card in your uncontrolled region from the game. That's what that one looks like. Or you can use 4 transfer to burn this card and gain 2 pull. So you're paying 1 to get 2 back. Or it assists you to get more vampires out, especially if you're looking for the younger vampires in order to do more of the Kindred, Enchant Kindred, yeah? Alright, so as you can see, quite a good deck. One that I have played myself, and it was quite good. I was at a table locked in with votes with a few other Methuselah at the table, so it was very much a game where we had to really mediate and try and work out deals, yeah. And it's so great about this game. I cannot express how good that experience is. And if you haven't played it, come in, get a game with us, or go to your local if they're playing it, or start looking online for any groups. Even though we play vampires, we are quite friendly. Now let me get back to myself. We have got the decks to play. Just come in. You don't need to buy. Just come and play. If you enjoy the game, then you can start looking at your decks. We've been playing it for years. We can assist you with what you're looking for. And you know what? We might even have the card singles as well for you to play with. Getting a fair bit of tournament support as well as those glass beads that a few other people have been looking for. So get in touch with us either way. Hope you enjoyed that video. Stay tuned for the next one, which will be deck number 3. See you all.